Every single time that there is a war, or even just increased tensions, there is always some idiot who openly wants war for either no reason or the worst imaginable reason. Some want it as a chance to prove themselves. Some want it because they think men have gotten weak. Some want it because it sounds interesting. All three camps are unified under the wider label: morally depraved idiots. Wishing for war is about as morally repulsive as it gets. But it does not appear to be viewed as such, at least not as overwhelmingly as it should be. Wishing for war is viewed as a bit deranged. It should not simply be viewed as a bit deranged. It should be treated with revulsion and absolute contempt. Someone claiming to want a world war should be treated no differently to someone endorsing pedophilia. Rather than people thinking supporting war is cool or manly, it should unironically be treated like someone endorsing pedophilia. The apparent support for war would dry up really fast if it was more widely regarded as the endorsement of sickening, reprehensible immorality that it is. The people who endorse war are endorsing something that is incredibly evil and harmful, and for that, society should feel first disgusted and then enraged. People like to imagine romanticized images of war, a courageous battle in which men prove themselves and become men. Think again. You cannot have large-scale war without the rotting corpses of children and the gut-wrenching screams of a raped woman. You cannot have large-scale war without terrified and confused young men hacking one another to pieces. He who wishes for war is wishing for the slaughter of infants, the rape of civilians, and the death of innocents. That is what one who wishes for war is wishing for. You think you are courageous. You think you are brave. Is that what a brave, courageous man wants? Brave men do not pray for the butchering of the innocent, simply so they have a chance to prove their courage. This is beyond reprehensible. This is pathetic behaviour. Wishing pain and torment on the innocent so that you can attempt to prove yourself to the insecurities that you are virtually enslaved to. War is incredibly evil, and when we see warmongers and war advocates, we should not forget that for a moment. These people want suffering on a scale that is inconceivable to us. Those who endorse war are endorsing the most brutal immoralities imaginable, because these things cannot be separated from war. When you wish for war, you wish for them. One who wishes for war is wishing for torture, rape, and murder. They are not wishing for some abstract thing in which people show courage. They are wishing for a very real thing in which innocent people are brutalized and obliterated. Make no mistake. In spite of its immense evil, war can sometimes be justified. Sometimes the positives of winning a war outweigh the negatives inherent to it. But I am not talking about well-reasoned, moral people endorsing war. I am talking about idiots hoping and wishing for war so they have a chance to prove themselves. I am talking about disgusting, depraved creatures with not a hint of a reason. Cowards that live in constant terror that they may not be manly enough, and this terror has them wishing for brutality and barbarism upon the world. People too scared to live with themselves in peacetime. People who think that war is the answer to the uncontrollable terror that they feel over the idea that they may not have the courage which they feel is expected of them. They view war as a chance to free themselves from the fear that they aren't good enough, which applies constant pressure to their shattered ego. They are weak, pathetic creatures, and they think war is the cure to that. It is not. War will not liberate them from the standards of courage and strength that they have grown to have a very unhealthy relationship with. Anyone who is too insecure about their bravery and courage to comfortably exist as a man in peacetime is beyond cowardly. They think they can withstand war. They haven't even figured out how to navigate their childish emotions and the oppressive social standards that they face. People who want to prove themselves so badly are people who are horrified that they may not meet the mark. They are constantly cowering at the very thought of the standards that are expected of them. They are cowards who wish harm on innocent people out of depraved desperation to find a cure for their constant insecurities. Brave men do not enslave themselves to dangerous delusions of heroism. Why is this viewed as somewhat acceptable and not absolutely abhorrent? Let us consider just for a moment what exactly a wish for war is. It is a wish for all the suffering in the world. Once one has endorsed this, there is scarcely a worse thing that one could find to endorse. Yet somehow wishing for such things becomes synonymous with manliness among some. It is the least honourable, it is the least noble, it is the least moral thing that one could possibly wish for. And it is disgraceful. Men who are too afraid of their masculine expectations to be men in peacetime, wishing for a war and deluding themselves into thinking it is the answer. It is not. What they need to do is find a more responsible way of interacting with their gender expectations. This is just another example of depraved immoral behaviour born out of gender. Just another toxic masculinity. Men interpreting the masculine requirement of bravery in the literal worst possible way. Gendered standards spawn endless warmongering and transform foolish boys into fervent advocates for all of the evil in the world. And some will think that this sounds cool. When I say advocating for evil, I don't mean advocating for cool-looking tanks and scary flags. I mean advocating for something the logical conclusion of which is the burning carcasses of children. I want you to realize that. Let's not view advocates of war as people who want tank warfare and fighter plane dogfights. Let's view them as people who want to unleash brutality and barbarism, murder, rape, and torture upon the world, and everyone who inhabits it. Let's view them as what they are. People need to know that war is not some courageous, clean fight. War is depraved brutality. War is the corpses of rotting children. War is the cries of raped women. War is the screams of tortured men. War is suffering. War is not something that any rational, reasonable person will ever be wishing for. A tragic necessity it can be, but a wish? Never. A tragic necessity war can be, but in the mind of a rational actor, it is never something to wish for.